So, just as I was mentioning, our teacher is Buddha Shakyamuni, who vanquished the Maras. So, we follow him, we follow his teachings, and to do so, then these are how the paths are laid out. First of all, our practice is based on speculating or examining the nature of samsara. So that's the first turning of the wheel of Dharma on the Four Noble Truths. The truth of suffering, the truth of the cause or the origination of suffering. And then the truth of freedom from suffering, we say the cessation of suffering. And then the truth, here when we say truth, it refers to the noble truth, the truth of the path to the cessation of suffering. So that one is the preliminaries. The outer preliminaries are based on the Four Noble Truths. And then when we also say in the Ngondro, these are called the mind training. Lojong is the Tibetan word, mind training. So until we set ourselves seriously on this mind training, then our practice never actually go well, because the hindrances are there. I always keep this example to weeding the field before the actual cultivation. So if you don't weed, or if you don't fence properly, then we want to cultivate, but then the vines or the weeds and all those jungles start to creep in, and then the cultivation never goes well. So mind training is like that. And also mind training is a very serious thing. Why are we practicing? We need to make clear of ourselves why we are practicing. Not being flaky, not being superficial. So these mind trainings are very, very important. So mind training is fortunate human birth, how precious this human birth is. And then when we see how precious this human birth is, then we start to take good care of our body, and then we utilize this preciousness of body, and not to squander or not to waste this human body, but rather engage in extracting the essence of having acquired this perfect human birth, perfect fortunate human birth. So like that. And then contemplating on impermanence, that although we have this fortunate human birth, but it is a nature that can perish at any moment, that we never know. It could happen just this very moment. There's no guarantee. So practicing in such a way that if death happens this very moment, we have no regret, because we did it to the best of our ability. And our mind is so pure and so content that the next instant of our rebirth, then this mind generates, the mind rises from that purity, and then starts its continuation in a virtuous, positive way, and acquiring again fortunate human birth, connecting with Dharma, meeting the spiritual master, receiving the pith instructions, and then purifying our karma, accumulating merit, and then finally achieving the state of Buddhahood. So these two things are also what are called as these true thoughts aiming in this lifetime. If we don't use these two things, then we are lazy, we don't really know what we are doing. So these two are very, very important for this lifetime, so that we know we are focused what we want to do in this life, what we want to achieve of this human body, and so forth. If we don't appreciate fortunate human birth, then we think, oh, everyone has human body. My birth is no different, has no greater quality than other or ordinary or common human body. Then we don't care, because it's like, not knowing the worth of the jewel that's in your hand. Then you toss it in garbage. It's like that. But once you know the value, then you will cherish, you will treasure it. So that's the purpose of why we need to do the mind training. And the contemplating on impermanence is that there is a need of urgency, that we want to do it, not that we always procrastinate or put it for tomorrow or next month, next year, and after a few years, those kind of things. We want to do it whenever we find time, whenever. So, just as I said, like Buddha Shakyamuni, that we know this battle is within our own mind, that we had been battling all this time in samsara. Sometimes the God won, sometimes the Titans won. And you see this, our belief in God and demons, and so forth. This war is never ending. So when we follow Buddha Shakyamuni's path, then we know that we can end that war, and we can become ever victorious, ever triumphant, ever glorious, like that. So that's the purpose of why we need to do the mind training on these two. Then the next two are, contemplating on the infallibility of cause and effect, down to the tiniest cause and effect. So then our behavior, our actions, our thoughts, our speeches, very precise, because all of these sparks, actions are consequences, seed that creates consequences. So therefore, being very disciplined in our body, speech, and mind. And then the second one is seeing the defects of cyclic existence. So, even if you wish to, or to be born in God realm or higher qualities of life and so forth, it's still within samsara. So we want to transcend that one. So therefore, these two second thoughts are aimed beyond, not this life, but beyond. It's aimed this life as well, but beyond life. So it transcends samsara. So if we don't have those thought, then we would think, oh, I want to create good karma, so I'll be born in God realm or higher forms of good qualities of human life and so forth. But that is still samsara. So we want to purify our karma. And then, if your goal is just limited to be in cyclic existence and just don't want to get out of cyclic existence, then you never achieve freedom from samsara. So those two thoughts are aimed to transcend samsara. So therefore, these four thoughts altogether are very, very important. So that's the purpose of why we need to do the mind training, those 4 mind trainings. When those 4 mind trainings are done properly, and then all that is also like, in the words of my perfect teacher, the qualities, the greatness of freedom, why we need to search for freedom. And these are the part of the outer preliminaries, and then searching for a spiritual teacher like Guru, Lama, authentic Lama, and how we approach the Lama, how we follow the Lama, how we emulate the Lama, how we engage our practice. So those kind of teachings are there, but for now just these 4 thoughts are good enough, like that. When we train ourselves in these 4 thoughts, then our mind becomes the right vessel to take refuge.